Awesome.
All right, we are here. Welcome, everybody. This is the B2B Growth Lab. I'm here with, well, Rob's on this side of me on my screen. And yeah, we're here to hang out and have a conversation about leadership, really, at its core. But the cause and effect, I think, of micromanagement and how it actually limits momentum, how it impacts velocity, how it kills the spirit, I think, when it comes to it. We want to talk about putting systems in place that empower people. This is a really big conversation for me right now because, you know, the AI is going to replace things as being sold, told, screamed, yelled, lied about out there. And like any other tool, automation system process, it's supposed to make the people's lives better and easier on both sides of the transaction. But when you give your team tools and empower them and support them, you'll get momentum, you get ownership, you get confidence, you get all sorts of stuff, which is, again, the opposite of all the backfiring and erosion that comes from hovering, from over managing, from getting granular with stuff they may know or be better at than you are because they're working at it every day. And I think one of the best things that we should dig into is talk about outcome-driven stuff. Yes. Also about coaching, yes. How that matters, how coaching versus controlling. Rob, you mentioned not dictating a lot in some of the stuff you bring up.
Yeah.
And really just how do we increase trust overall? I think when you do that internally, it just naturally happens externally. So where would you like to start? That was a lot.
I think this is such a relevant topic today, specifically because of the amount of turnover, the amount of people who are getting their first leadership opportunity.
Brilliant.
They've not done it anywhere. And the only model they know is parent-child.
Right.
How have they been led up to this point? Well, most of their life, they've just been parent-child parented. Tell. Sometimes
that's like the 80%, right?
Yeah.
And maybe a tiny bit of sport or post-secondary.
And even in those, overwhelmingly, so we go into neuro-linguistic programming, overwhelmingly command or nurture, right? That's what they've heard. Come on, swing the bat. Come on, don't forget the step. Come on, right? That's all command. That's your baseball coach, your softball coach, your tennis coach, right? They're telling you, rather than asking you, getting you out of your own way, letting you accidentally succeed, and then reinforcing that when it happens. Right?
So I think you just drew a really important distinction, which is for those of you who may have been told it was the case, do it better is not actually coaching.
Right. What do they think they did well? What do they think needs to change? What outcome are they looking for? What have they tried? Did it work or did it not work? If they were to imagine a third party sitting in the room, what might they suggest that they try?
Love it.
And if you have something to share before you start opening your mouth as a leader, why not ask them, would you mind if I gave you a few thoughts? And when they say yes and give you permission, well, in my career, when I've struggled with this particular thing and had to learn it, these are the 2 or 3 things that helped me. Not that they will work for you, right? Because we're all different. But I'll give you my 2 things that work for me. Pomodoro technique, right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Struggling with stress or time management. And then immediately flip it back over to them. Of all the things that you mentioned, that I mentioned, that imaginary third party mentioned, what do you think you'd like to try?
Right.
So we always keep the ownership, the responsibility, the accountability on the team member. They plot their own way forward. And then we ask, what do they need from us as their leader to help them be successful? What can I do to help you? Adopt that, master that, right? Become tacit, competent at that, right? Like let's go. So servant leadership, grow coaching, right? Like if you flip it over and stop telling people what to do, you watch that compliance with a side order of resentment turn into 20 to 30% additional discretionary effort and productivity, right? You get that flywheel going. People are excited and happy to come to work. You won't believe it, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
My boss actually asked me what I thought, and then they trusted me to pick my own solution. And then they asked what they could do to help. That's the conversation you want to be at the dinner table, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And just coming at it from a technical mind, I do think one of the objections that happen in that space, like, where's my ROI? Do you have proof? All that sort of stuff. For me, one of the low hanging fruit examples was Google's implementation of the 20% time, where it was completely undirected, right? But what do you think became, out of those 10 hours we're paying you, take 2 and work on something that you find interesting,
right?
Which became the underpinning of so much of the stuff that we became addicted to and dependent on, right? Like Maps, like Keep, like Calendar, like Gmail, like all these happy accidents that, I mean, you remember there was a day and a time where both sitting there where it's like, a Gmail address? No, to be a professional, you need your name at .com. And then, like, what's happened since then? Like, it's the norm.
Right.
It's just the norm. Everybody has one, uses one, is involved in that environment.
Yeah.
So there's 100 different places where that can happen inside of a business if you're willing to ask for opinions, to get feedback, to solicit again, another really easy example, the Kaizen, right? From the members of your team, of that whole, like, all ideas are welcome, because if it's about to make something better and you're facing it, please let us know.
And let's say often the most valuable voice in the room is the dissenting voice, so long as it can be molded constructively, right?
Right.
So oftentimes before you shoot the dissenting voice, it's useful to lean into it and say, tell me more. What do you mean? How did you come to that understanding? What else are you thinking? And then once we've helped them fully unpack it, judge it on its merits, not on the stature of the person who brought it up. Oh, they're just the janitor. Oh, they work for me. I'm ego threatened by that, right? Because I'm insecure. No, negative. If you don't have enough composure to lean in and get curious about dissent, you really don't belong in a leadership role, right? If someone asks you for clarity and you bite their head off, you might have some emotional intelligence work to do.
100%. Yes. And we found ourselves in this situation recently where working with the client, paid work, like we're hired on, we're in there going to work to do the thing that we promised to do. It's a little bit of a ball and cup game.
Okay.
What I mean by that is, and from the RevOps perspective, when you go into a business, the people who look down at everything from above, regardless of how high that is, depends on the organization. Their role is still oversight.
Uh-huh.
We tend to have to commiserate in the beginning. You're right. It must be something wrong with marketing or sales. Because what we've discovered, and having a sales professional on the team has really helped me with this. What we've discovered is you can't say 30 cents of every dollar is lost in onboarding, because it's telling that would-be leader that their baby's ugly.
Right.
So we say nothing about it, do the blueprint, start to do the build, and after we fix, over 6 figures of revenue leaks in the marketing and sales issue, then we can go to work on the place where the money's actually being lost. Right? Where the biggest expense, highest amount of friction, actual flat tire on the car is. But until then, it's just like, ignore that squeaking, ignore that squeaking. I know it steers funny, but nobody's going to talk about it. Let's clean the windshield because you said it's dirty.
Well, they can give you that permission, right? If they unpack that pain,
yeah,
they tell you, look at my ugly baby, then you could say, let's put some makeup on it. Let's help. Right?
Yeah. And so, you just had me thinking in this conversation organizationally, like what would actually happen? How much could you profit and not have to buy outside help if you did sit down with every single person and be like, what's wrong with this company? What's wrong with this company? What's wrong with this company? Like, please tell me what's wrong with the way we do things. I imagine it's profitable to listen to those answers.
People's egos won't let them. It's wildly profitable. It's why you pay consultants so much more to get the answer from the outside, because when the person speaks up on the inside, you say that can't be true, or you need to watch what you're saying. That's someone else's ego there, right? You need to be careful. Blah, 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 blah. Insecurity, fiefdoms, right? Silos, like all of that. and then you're going to pay McKinsey $300K to come in and do this, right? Like, you should just listen to your people. You should just have, let's call it emotional safety at work, psychological safety at work.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Put everyone on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Less power distance.
Yes. Yeah. And there's something about a false sense of psychological security, which has to do with living inside that silo. Right. That's really one of our main jobs, is to like break them down, because that's where a lot of operational inefficiency exists, because it's a lack of communication. Right. Like it's the craziest thing that like that's the biggest piece. I pulled a very interesting piece of data recently. These guys did a diagnostic across 86 high velocity companies between 10 million and 1 billion in annual revenue.
Okay.
They said these ones grew much faster than those ones. And the thing that came up, the singular pattern they found most consistently, was there's a lack of a shared operating model across the teams.
Yep. You might need an SOP. You might need a flow chart, right?
Or 11 SOPs.
Yes, flow chart everything, right? Write an SOP, right? Write a checklist, write some kind of functional documentation that helps people understand exactly how different tasks get done in the one best way in the company. And that's not to say that it can't be challenged. That's not to say that it can't be changed. That's not to say And nothing gets carved in stone, right? We always reserve the right to get smarter, get faster, get more efficient as we grow. But that doesn't mean we don't document anything, right? That's a recipe for chaos. That's a recipe for resentment, for frustration, for turnover. Like, the costs run deep, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just, and furthermore, right? Before you start smacking somebody with a stick, punishing them for what they did, make sure you have an SOP.
Thank you. Yeah, that was going to be my piece. The did or didn't do is like, according to what?
Right. Show me the standard.
Yeah. Even
the expectation, right?
I forget what movie it is. It's an old one. That even in the classic cliche, they're like, it is written.
Right.
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 And so whoever's in the wrong is in the wrong because, however long ago somebody else wrote it down.
To your point about trust, how much can you trust somebody who believes in transparency and asks you to document the right way to do something or your goals? I think we can trust them a lot.
Agreed.
How much should you trust somebody who says, oh, just trust me, you don't need to document your goals? The short answer is anyone who tells you you should trust them is not trustworthy.
Got it.
It's a con.
Right.
Right. You're giving them leverage to use against you later. No, that's not what I said. No, that's not what we agreed on, right? Systems, SOPs, goals, right? Document, right? Send the follow-up email. I'm so glad we talked about this and agreed to ...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. In today's world, you can't have Applaud or another AI device recording everything that happens in every room. So it's on you to document and follow up, right? SOP, hey, I thought of a new way. Send it via email, right? What if we save 20% of process time by doing this? Give it away. Be charitable, right?
Absolutely.
The best ideas, like when we do process improvement in manufacturing, you go find the problem at the end of the process, and then you swim upstream.
Yes.
And along the way, you meet each of the people and ask them, where do they think the problem started? Where do they think the problem originates? And you keep going and you keep going and you keep going, and you'd be amazed that when you ask people and you value and appreciate their expertise and opinion, and maybe you give them a couple bucks for the vending machine or you buy them lunch, you treat them like a respected human being. When you do that kind of work, you'll be amazed what they'll tell you, the insights they'll provide. Oh, we've been using this pneumatic lift jack for the whole 30 years I've worked here. And when I started, it had these rubber bumpers on the jaws. But about 20 years ago, those rubber bumpers wore out, and I just never thought to get it fixed. Well, do you think that's what's maybe creating the paint chips on every single piece of gear you pick up? Huh. Well, that could be, yeah. So I'm not blaming them for not fixing it, right? They're my partner in fixing it. There's enough blame to go around. That's not the point. Don't punish the person, solve the problem. So he wrote one note, put new rubber bumpers on pneumatic lift, and we saved 20 minutes of labor per unit produced forever.
Right.
That's tens of thousands of dollars a year in labor and materials. And all it takes is being open and listening and treating people with respect, not micromanaging, right? I wasn't telling him how to do his job. I asked him how he does his job and what he thinks.
Right.
Right? I asked her, what does she think would be the best way to do this? The job as a leader is to get the right answer, to get the solution, not have the right answer or have the solution. If you take all the power and you micromanage, you are taking all the responsibility. And if the people on your ship aren't partners in your success because you took all the power and responsibility, what do you think the odds of a mutiny are?
Right. How much do you think this has to do with the stats out there? The most frightening one of all is that 70% of staff are disengaged.
Oh, it is overwhelmingly at the heart of that kind of stat. I was just talking with one of my team members the other day. She's been at her job for more than 10 years. And she said, if you ever have the chance to get me out of here, all you have to do is ask, right? I will follow you anywhere.
Right.
Right? She wants out. But she's got a kid at home and family and life and can't afford to just walk out without a job.
Yeah.
Never mind that her colleague walked out without a job 3 months ago, and her boss just walked out without a job 1 month ago. So what's going on in that organization, right?
Right.
So I sent the CEO a note the other day. Hey, you might want to look into this department in your org. Just trying to be constructive and help you out. But you've had a lot of significant turnover with jumping into no other frying pan, right? I'm out, can't take it anymore, right? You have a culture issue, a subculture issue in one of your orgs. So go look, you own it, right? It's not my job to fix it. I'm just giving you information. Because a lot of times as CEO, people are reticent to give you information.
Yeah. So again, it comes back to the culture that's dependent on feedback, that's committed to listening, that's super interested in what isn't working, especially since it's the people on the front lines.
Right.
Right. And again, you want to give them something more powerful than do better. Like maybe a how, maybe even remotely some sort of a why can significantly improve the results that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. One of the best models that I ever learned for meeting people where they are is Blanchard's situational leadership. And this very simple framework, once you learn it, everyone has a separate starting position, right? At the top, we have full empowerment, right? Delegation. And at the bottom, I'm going to sit down and walk through it step by step with you, right? And in between, there's 2 other levels. But on a task by task basis, right? A generally competent person learning new software. Well, you can't just fully delegate that, right? If you know it better than they do, maybe you need to go to level 2 and do some coaching, right? And if that's not enough, click here, go here, do this next, right? All the way down to step by step. But you don't show up and start step by step when they tell you they got it or they want to work independently or try it on their own. Back off, right? Like if you try and click by click tell everybody, if you're micromanaging, all you do is create resentment, insecurity, right? It makes you look bad. It hurts their performance. It's awful. You're the wrong story at the dinner table.
Yeah, I think that comes back to gamification too, right? Like, not only is there well, now more than one generation that's used to playing games.
Right.
Regardless of the different types of games, there are discoveries part of it. Right? There's seeking, there's questing, there's gathering. It doesn't matter what the base level actions are. Not knowing what it is and figuring it out is part of the process.
Yes.
And very few people design them to be so hard that you need a tutorial at the beginning. Right? Maybe there's secret levels and fancy stuff later, but in the very beginning, it's like it's easy enough to just sit down and start moving forward. So yeah, I think it comes back to that trust that you're talking about and that culture that you described.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other thoughts on how to tell the difference between coaching and dictating, between a culture that's designed to gather feedback and listen versus one that isn't or diminishes that stuff? Because some of the times it can be subtle, right? It's not as overt as we make it.
I think it's maybe not as hard as people might think. You might have noticed the difference when I was talking earlier. If you're asking questions, right? Your question per minute rate or your percent of speaking that is questions, the higher that goes, the odds are you're in more of a coaching posture than a parental posture, right? The more you end in periods and indeed exclamation marks, then you're in command. You could be in nurture, right? It's like understanding where you are and why and how you show up. I mean, there's a time professionally to be parental nurture, right?
Mhm.
My team member comes to me, tells me that their dog just died, right?
Right.
They want parental nurture, not overdone because you're not their parent, but they want empathy.
Mhm.
So you give them the empathy. What do they need from you? Flip over into servant leadership, right? That's hard. I've been there. Sympathy, right? Like, what do you need? Do you need to take the morning off? Do you need to take the whole day off, right? Like, do you need to work remotely? What can I do to
Mhm.
make this easier on you, right? Because it's really about them.
Right.
It's about your ego. And if you get rid of that ego and you focus on them, what do you think they do? What do you think you get? Loyalty, discretionary effort. You get hustle. When you leave that job, they will follow you.
Right.
So it's not that hard. It's actually quite easy if you just get the right mindset. Treat people with respect. You are their boss. It is an honor to be their boss. What can I do to help you? What do you think? Right? I need everyone's input. I need everyone to feel empowered, respected. Right? Then when I ask for updates and I'm making a withdrawal from the joint emotional bank account,
Yeah.
there's a balance. I'm never running debt with my team members, right? There's enough goodwill. I carry a positive balance. So when it gets hard, there's enough trust that it's okay, right? We can get through it.
Absolutely. You touched on something else for me that I think is important. So I come across people all the time, like individuals like yourself, for example. Like when you're a part of a larger organization, it's easier to feel like a cog in a machine.
Yeah.
But if you really step back and take a look at it, there is a size of a group that you're in direct contact with where it's not insurmountable. You could be responsible for at least that piece of culture, right?
Yep.
That pod or community or team or whatever it is. And I think that's a massive opportunity because it's a place where you can experiment too, right? Like this may not be the thing that you do that they make the TV movie about, where you just change the entire organization.
Right.
But you can still really positively impact a few people's lives and figure it out at the same time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I think about for the takeaways from this one is just pick that. Pick your version of that. It may not even be at work right now, but there's a place where you're, you know, a leader or a member of more than 2 people, which is enough to start working on this.
Yeah. The burden of flexibility and mastery and skill development is on the leader.
Yeah.
Not the team member.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you can't just say be better.
Yeah. That's not coaching, by the way.
Suck less is not coaching.
Yeah.
Right? So keep them empowered, keep them engaged, watch your team perform, watch them become loyal and establish trust over time. And it's the greatest compliment you'll receive as a leader when those relationships persist. Indeed, they call you when they're looking for their next role.
Very well said.
That's who you want to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. Pay it forward. It does make a big difference.
Yep. Awesome.
Definitely. Well, as usual, thanks so much for your time and your insight. And yeah, for those of you who are hanging out, watching this now or later, just love to hear what you're taking away. When you include your thoughts and ideas, everybody wins, and that's appreciated.
Yeah, and if you have the need for some of the things that we've talked about today, give us a call. Let us know, right? What we're talking about here is specific programs that are trainable, skill development. That's literally the transformation that can empower your business to grow faster than your competition. So let's create that culture of performance and get you growing.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much.